Ryan, what do you have to say about getting a team behind you?
Yeah, I had a conversation actually the other day with an Irish chap. He was saying to me like, oh, I had this agency and, I'm not really happy with them, but I really want to get better at it. And I really want to get someone who's really good. And he even shouted us out. He's like, I really like the fact that you have a YouTube channel there, Ryan. It's really grand. It's really great. So sorry if he's watching. Hopefully he still wants to be a client.
Love that accent. What's up, everybody? It's Gene Villanoz here from the PPC Cave, and I am with my lovely co-host once again, Ryan Fenton. Ryan, say what's up.
Hello, everybody. Hope you had a lovely Easter holiday.
Absolutely. I had a lovely Easter holiday. And Ryan, how was your holiday, and how are you in general?
I'm doing pretty good. Easter was very stressful, especially when you have children. Very expensive. Taking them away, not too far in the country, but doing a few activities, Legoland and things like that with them, which was good. But if you've ever been to Legoland, it's very expensive, and most of the time you just end up queuing. So yeah, dealing with that was fun, but it was still making memories, still good fun. What about you? Did you get up to anything or get any Easter eggs?
No Easter eggs, I wish, but I just hung out with my family. It was my mother's birthday also, so we went ahead and, hung out, went to church. Mom. Yeah, happy birthday, Mom. She's 67, getting up there, but she's still healthy, and that's what matters. And yeah, I had a really good time, some good food, and now we're back with a new episode. It's going to be a little bit different. This time, it's not exactly PPC, it's PPC adjacent, but this episode 58, the title is How to Scale Your Digital Marketing Business. And right off the top, this is something that we haven't really discussed before, have we, Ryan? This is a little bit of a different episode, like I said.
Yeah, I think a couple of episodes ago, we kind of talked about, getting an accountant and a few areas here and there, probably over the different episodes we've released. We've talked about these things, but we've never really given a full episode where it's about more of the business side of digital marketing, and not even just Google Ads, but we're saying digital marketing here. So if you're paid social, if you're just social media, whatever you might be, I think a lot of what Gene and I are about to discuss can relate to your niche, your industry, really. But just before we do get into it, I just want to quickly ask: does Mom watch the PPC Cave? Does she listen? Does she hear you and say you're so knowledgeable? No, okay.
She has no idea about the PPC Cave and probably no idea about what we do in general. Just like a lot of people in our lives, I feel like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this is a very different episode, but I think me and Ryan have been discussing more about, just how to scale, because we're very driven people, and that's the type of PPC manager you would want, is someone that's driven. And if you ever do need any PPC advice or PPC management, our links are both on the bottom of the screen, as you can see. But going into it, taxes is definitely something in my book that I've kind of kept doing 4 years into the freelancing journey. But Ryan was smart enough to just get it figured out way quicker than me. Ryan, do you want to kind of discuss what you did and just kind of your thought process of handing this to someone else?
Yeah, I'll try and make it quick. But pretty much as soon as I started out, I got an accountant, which was one of the best things I ever did, was because even they said, like, they the first of my financial year end, they drew up like a dummy tax return for me and was like, this is what it would have looked like if you hadn't have gone limited company, and this is what it would have looked like if you were sole trader or whatever it was. And the difference in tax was crazy. I think I owed like something like 5,000 tax for that whole year because I just started out. Right, so it's kind of like a short year, but 5,000 tax with the accountant. I think it was something like 15,000 tax without. Right, if I'd have just stayed as a sole trader. So, and that's the difference. Like, I would have had to have paid 15,000 that I didn't really have at that point because I was just starting out of tax. And like, where the hell would I got that from? So the fact that I see it as that they saved me 10,000 was amazing. I only had to pay 5,000. So I think they paid for themselves, and that is why. And I think they are subscribed. They do listen to the PPC Cave, which I appreciate the support. I think that Christmas, I think I was so happy I got them like a little Christmas present as well, because like they saved me so much money. Because no, let's be honest, we love the business. Nobody wants to pay the tax man at the end of the day, and
No.
that's why I think if you can take your business very seriously, get an accountant, it's working in your best interest. You're not just a one man band. You need a team behind you. You need like an accountant, a financial planner, and all these. It depends how big you get, but maybe even like an admin assistant or something as well. To take care of like emails and invoices and things like that. But for the main part, I think having an accountant in place is almost like a must have, like a non negotiable. So yeah, you don't have one though, right?
No, so I told myself if I have to pay taxes, I'll figure that out when I do have to pay taxes. In the 4 to 5 years where I've been doing a lot more freelance work, I've done it all myself and I've gotten a decent return. But this last year, it's April, what are April 24th. So just recently here in the US, I had to pay taxes in a long time. So I was like, okay, well, I have to get some type of a consultation. And I got a consultation the other week with a CPA, and they're pointing me in the right direction, just making sure that here we have something called sole proprietorship. I think it's the same type of deal in the UK. And I do want to preface when we talk about taxes or financials, this isn't financial advice. We're not registered financial people here. So don't sue us. We're just promoting what we've done for us, for our businesses. But making sure that separating the funds is really important. And, I've gotten away with it so far and it's been okay. I have like a spreadsheet on Google Sheets where I income out, expense out, this and that. So I've been pretty good with it, but it's a lot of administrative stuff that is taken away from you actually growing your business or you getting inside of a client's account or communicating with a client. And all of that is going to make it less of an experience for someone to come back, and you have more retention with that client just because you're not putting all the focus on the actual business. And I think that's where Ryan does really well at, is just making sure that, hey, forget the bottom line. The bottom line isn't really everything that matters. What matters is efficiency, and how can I promote and operate a business that's efficient with communication and actually being a PPC manager and optimizing the client's account. So I think that's invaluable information to at least, make sure that if you can't or don't want to hire an administrative person to do the taxes, at least have them point you in the right direction and get like an hour consultation and be like, hey, this is what you're missing. These are the next steps for you. If you want to create something or do something yourself, then have this software running on the background and you could come back to me during tax time and we could do it that way, which is probably how I would go about it. But yeah, quick question. Any favorite tax write-offs or not favorite, but tax write-offs that you love seeing under the write-off section of your business, Ryan?
Good question. Well, yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things, I could kind of say. The fun thing is obviously, if I need a new MacBook, if I need an iPad, if I need an iPhone, whatever it is, I'm probably going to look at the iPhone 17 this year, to be honest with you, because mine's getting a bit old. I think I got the iPhone 14 Pro Max or something from a few years ago. So I think it's about 3, maybe 4 years old now. So I'm, that's the fun stuff, right? Because I'm a little bit of an Apple fanboy, and it's tech, right? So it's the fun stuff. So that's one side of it. But the other more professional side is I don't think you should ever feel guilty about doing I think it's 3 things, which is number one, learning. I think I might have said this in a previous episode as well, but if there's a course out there, if you want to better yourself in, digital marketing or whatever it might be, if it's pushing you further in a career journey or learning something new, then do it. It's just going to better. Knowledge is power. So don't worry about anything that's courses. Definitely get that. Number 2 would be health. It depends what kind of business you're in. I don't think this is going to be a tax write-off as such. But saying that, don't scrimp on your health. I think, personal trainers, going to the gym, healthy food, whatever
Massages.
it might do. Yeah, massages. No, but that's true. I mean, this is someone said to me this one time that every what is it? Every month, just take one day out for you. Just go to a spa, go to a sauna, go to a steam room. Get a haircut. Have a nice like beard cut or whatever, and go for a walk or just take one day out, 1 month, and just have a you day, because what we do is very intense. It's very data driven. It's constantly dealing with customers, clients, trying to sign clients, invoices, all the crazy stuff that comes with it. So one day a month, just have a you day. I think that was some of the best advice I ever got in terms of business. I forget what the third is though, but definitely health, and fitness, learning. And I'm sure there was something else, and I can't remember what it is. But what about you? Anyway, I'm rambling. Is there any favorite tax write-offs that you have?
Yeah, no, I mean, I just love having the freedom of trying a tool if it's something that I might use to communicate with the clients, or something internally where I'm bettering my efficiency of how to analyze the actual account, such as XYZ software. We're not getting paid to say any software right now. So, but I've gone through the gambit of figuring out, okay, this works for me, this works for the client a little better. So I think it's just really having that freedom to perhaps make the job a little bit more efficient, and maybe use this AI software, or maybe use that software for communication. Those things I think is just so valuable, and you don't have to worry about the expense, because some of it will be written off. Any last words with the tax point here before we move on?
No, I think, again, a bit of a piece of advice then. Don't just have all of your funds in one bank account. I don't know, certain accounts you're able to create like pots or spaces, or, just side little mini accounts, if you like, within a big account. And what I do, and again, this is a bit of free financial advice, I guess you could say, but I'm not a financial advisor, like Gene said. Um, Create like just a second mini account where within a business account, like a pot or a space or whatever it is, and you can put that tax earnings into that one. Keep it separate from profit and everything else. You've got one that's specifically set up for tax. So then when the tax man calls, you've got all the money tucked away, ready to pay for him. You don't have to worry about anything. So that's what I would say there.
Yeah, to add on to that, and I'm just learning all this just because I'm in this. This is really top of mind for me. If you're a business and you are opening up a new business checking account, always Google if there are any business checking bonuses, because more likely than not, if you have whatever threshold they ask for, $5,000 deposit, you can get $500 for free if you hold that deposit for 60 days, which I've, gotten recently. And another, this is not really taxes, but more of like financial advice, but not financial advice because we're not financial advisors. But this is what I did. Ryan is totally right. I have two business checking accounts now, one for tax and one where the money just flows from the payouts from invoices or wherever else I sell. And I'll transfer that and just make sure that, you have money going back into a business, along separating with what we call an owner's draw, where you're paying yourself. But also remember, if you have money that you want to park and reinvest into the business, there are online businesses out there that have a free, no minimum required. So you could put $1 in there, the APYs of 3.8 to about 5%. So instead of just a 0.01 APY, which is like nothing, park it into a savings account that has at least 3 to 4%. At least you're going to gain, that money back if it's just parked there in your business savings account, not a personal business savings account. So that's one thing that I've been doing lately. So yeah, there's a lot of information. Financials is one of the business is how to get more sales, income, or revenue, and how to cut costs. So it's all about financials here, all about taxes, things like that. It's just super important for you to grow and scale your digital marketing business. Next point is get a team. And that kind of goes with taxes because Ryan has, a tax team. But we're talking beyond that. Ryan, what do you have to say about getting a team behind you?
I think it can elevate you. I think, you're not just for the reason why clients work with us, they don't know everything about Google and Google ads and things like that. It's about, efficiency and scaling in certain areas. Um, and yeah, I had a conversation actually the other day with an Irish chap, and hopefully he'll become a client. He's not even a client yet, but he was saying to me like, oh, I had this agency, and I'm not really happy with them, but I really want to get better at it, and I really want to get someone who's really good. So I'm going to go, look for someone who's really good. And I was like, that sounds great. That sounds really cool. And he even shouted us out. He's like, I really like the fact that you have a YouTube channel there, Ryan. It's really grand. It's really great. And I was like, oh, I appreciate that. So I'm so sorry if he's watching. Hopefully he still wants to be
Love
client.
that accent. That's worth it. It's worth whatever. Go ahead.
But the point is that he doesn't know Google Ads, right? He's got someone doing it. He's not happy with them. He wants to get someone who's better at Google Ads, or he feels that can align with his expectation. And it's the same thing. I don't know everything about taxes, accountancy, financial planning. I'm not a financial advisor. So why would I, try and do all this myself? It makes sense to have a team of like, okay, I've got an accountant, I have a financial advisor, people that who can say, right, well, we think it's better if you do this. This would be more tax efficient. Whereas if I was doing it on my own, I wouldn't think that way. So this is why I think it's really important to get a team behind you, as well as, in other areas. I mean, Gene, do you want to chime in at all?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even with the PPC Cave, we have, an editor, Joel, that
Yeah.
helps us. I think the efficiency of having others do something that what we might not either enjoy or be experts at will take any project, any business, anything to the next level. Even if you're a PPC or Google Ads manager, and I am not ashamed to say this, but I hate setting up conversion tracking. I have someone that does that, and I am very transparent with my clients that I onboard and say, hey, this isn't my wheelhouse. I mean, I can do it. It'll probably take me longer, but I have someone that does this, so, give them permissions. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that I'm kind of learning more about, just because I do want to see my clients succeed. And a lot of the times PPC or Google Ads isn't a, you know, uh, just everything that you need. You need a little bit more digital marketing. You might need a little bit more social media. You might need a little bit more SEO. You might need a little bit more meta. So I want to be able to provide any answers to that in the future. I want to be able to have that longevity, and I think hiring or even having someone do it on a gig basis where you're not hiring them full time, but you have one project for them to do to see if that's a test, to see if it's something that they could efficiently do and help you. I think that's a great way, just because we live in a gig based economy nowadays where we don't have to go all out and hire somebody and stick with them just because they're we hired them. We could have more of a trial run and say, hey, maybe for this project, however long it takes, 14 days, 30 days, we agree to compensation and we agree to the output of scope of work, and let's just see how we work together. I think that's a good way to kind of mitigate that long-term relationship that usually was before, when you hire someone where you have to just kind of keep them and deal with it or fire them. There's gray spaces now where you could do this at a smaller scale to see if it's a right fit for what you're doing. But the biggest thing for me that I'm kind of, beginning to look into this process is, what are things that I don't do well, or things that I lack doing for my clients that I can make sure is done well and is done frequently because I am having someone come on. One thing that I should be doing way more of, and I'm being transparent, is Google Merchant Center. I need to be in Google Merchant Center more. I need to, upload the data, be in spreadsheet land. And that's something that I don't typically love, so I'm looking for someone that could do that. So I think like Ryan said, I think it's just super important to understand what you lack in the business, and perhaps, find someone that could cover those blind spots or help you out. Any last thoughts before we get into our segment?
Did you like my Irish accent before, by the way?
Oh yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
I want more of it.
No
Actually,
more of
should
it.
just do
No,
the whole episode in Irish
it was
accent.
Irish. No, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. I mean, although what I would say as well is, in certain areas that can work. What I mean is that gig based economy and things like that. I think, in the line of work that we do, if you find a Google Ads account manager that is high quality, obviously, yeah, the first 30 days and, judged by the phone calls that you have with your account manager and things like that, make sure that you're on the same page. But ultimately, if you've got a solid account manager that has a plan in place, a strategy, then you might want to stay with him long term, because it's not something that you can just kind of dip in and out of, over a 30-day period. This is something that you kind of need to see long term to see, okay, we're establishing a relationship here. Is the person that is managing my ad account, is he or she well informed? Do I think that they are the right person, the right fit, things like that? So whilst it can work in certain areas that you might want to outsource, such as conversion tracking, Gene does it, I do it. I also outsource conversion tracking because I'm not that technically knowledgeable when it comes to conversion tracking. There's a lot of like data layer pushes with e-commerce, where you need to have that dynamic value change for purchasers, begin checkout, add to cart. Very, very complex. I don't know coding or anything like that. So for me, rather than trying to stress and lose any more hair on my head that I may have left, it makes sense for me to just outsource it and focus on what I do best, which is get that campaign up and running, look at the search terms, add the negative keywords, add copy, everything else that comes with it. So in certain places, that gig-based economy can work, but in other areas, you might just need to if you've got the right person with the right fit, they're doing something that you're happy with, stick with them, and that's what I would say.
Yeah, definitely agree. If you have a good PPC managers in general, it's kind of difficult to find, just because PPC, in my opinion, no knocks on the SEOs, the social media managers or blog post writers, email marketers, but I think we could agree that PPC is probably the most complicated, but the most high ROI digital marketing stack that you could really focus on, especially if you have, either e-commerce or lead generation business. I think it could drive results really quickly and really help you scale immediately. But there are so many, I wouldn't say bad, but just kind of misinformed PPC managers out there, where they think they might be helping you out or doing things the right way, but the experience doesn't really lend to what they're actually doing performance wise in the account. So finding a good one, is really, really important, like me and Ryan. It's just really important, it's just really important. So, yeah, if you have a good one, then stick with it. So, yeah, this brings us to our next segment.
Is that going to
Ask a
just be you
freelancer.
dancing with no music again, or?
No, I think Joel said he figured it out. So I'm gonna actually fast forward to 2340 on the next YouTube channel or YouTube video. Just make sure that I'm not dancing with no music. But yeah, ask a freelancer segment. And here I'm gonna ask Ryan, what is one thing that you've changed your mind on recently?
Good question. Very good question. And it's a little different, but I'm gonna shout out Chat GPT, right? Because we all use it. It's become like a little assistant for us now. But honestly, most of us, I think I would say like 60 to 70 to 80% of us are using it for entertainment. Like I'm always seeing these, like at the moment it's like the Barbie doll, right? Like people will be like putting
Yeah.
themselves as like a Barbie doll figurine or something like that. And that's okay. And I've seen a few others. um but I just think we have a tool here that is so powerful. So I was like, okay, let me try different things with it, right? And it's probably, and it's not really what I've changed my mind on, but I think it can be a really good, powerful tool. So I just was like, look, compare these interest rate accounts, right? Like here's 5 different bank accounts with different interest rates over like a 5-year period. Show me, like, plan it out. If I deposit and every month this amount of money, which is going to give me the most amount for a return? And it did that. It gave me a projection over like a 5-year period of all the different accounts that I gave it, and I got to see how it's going to look. Because for me, I'm a big fan of the stock market, and if we know at the moment there's a lot of issues in the US, the economy is kind of down. You guys are, hovering over a recession. The stock market is not looking pretty at the moment. So I was looking at that for different, comparing that with all the different, you know, um, interest accounts, and it's not that dissimilar what it would be after 5 years. So that was like, wow, like I can actually plan my financial future with this kind of stuff, and I thought that was really, really interesting. So I changed my mind of like, it's not just for entertainment, it's not just for a quick, like, hey, give me a headline for this Google ad, but you can actually plan your future, in terms of, investing, or like buying a house or whatever it might be. So that was really cool. And I said to Gene just before we started recording, I'm actually playing my first full 18 well, not my first, but my first of the season, full 18 golf, like, whatever, tomorrow. So I'm looking for that, looking forward to that. And I said to like Chat GPT last night, I was like, this is the course I'm playing. Give me like a play by play. Give me like, these are my stock yardages, roughly. Give me like a caddy book, a caddy guide for the full 18. And it did. So now I saved it to my phone. I'm going to go tomorrow. I'm going to use that as like a bit of a caddy guide, caddy book. Say, right, okay, hole 6, I need to hit this club. I know it goes this far. I know whereabouts I want to hit it on the fairway. Honestly, so like, I think Chat GPT, we're only scratching the surface of what is possible. I think there's just so much more potential to be had with it. So what is one thing that I've changed my mind on recently, that Chat GPT isn't just for entertainment, it's actually a serious, like, we talk about having a team, it's almost like an addition to the team. So how about
Yeah.
you? What do you think
Uh,
about that?
Well, yeah, to add on to that, I think ChatGPT is just scratching the surface with how we could use not only this, but just in general, the capabilities of a large language model. I think it's something I know has been a buzzword for so long, but rightfully so. I think it's going to not only, help PPC managers, but I think it's just going to help people that are in business, in general, just kind of find the path that they need to take, because of just the all encompassing knowledge and statistics and data that is embedded into Chat GPT. I use it, like Ryan says, like a teammate, like on anything that I do, even with Google Ads. I'm like, hey, can you look over this copy? Can you, take a look at these search keywords? Like I'll upload graphs to it. Like, how am I looking with, this script that I have going? What can I do to improve it? And even if it doesn't tell you exactly what you need to do, it'll get just close enough for you to have an aha epiphany and be like, oh, okay, well, yeah, that he's talking, the ChatGPT's talking about this, but let me do this instead. So, yeah,
Do
I
you
do.
do you pay for it?
Yeah, I pay for
Yeah, me
the
too.
actual. I think
Do
it's
you have you used
important.
the voice thing, or?
The voice.
Yeah.
I only use voice when I'm. It's bad, but when I'm driving. Like just the voice, just text to
Yeah,
speech, because it's
yeah.
actually really good. Like it's like better than a Siri or something like that. Like
Well, this
it'll
is what
pick
I
up.
was saying. Yeah, honestly, like you can have a full blown conversation with ChatGPT, like the voice AI thing. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it's called, but like if I'm don't want to type, I can just press the button and just have a full blown conversation, and it's so natural that the way they speak as well. Honestly, it's just like wow, it's crazy. So yeah, really, really cool.
Yeah, and one tip, we're just giving all these different tips. What one tip that I always do now that I haven't done before, that's probably I was wasting a lot of time because a lot of the onboarding for Google Ads is you're kind of doing the same thing. You're going to start a PMax campaign, you're going to start a search campaign. So I have a couple prompts already where it's long enough to give some type of background on ChatGPT, because a lot of the time we're not giving ChatGPT enough information, you know. And I heard this on a podcast the other day. You are basically a manager with ChatGPT, and if you've ever worked with anyone or understand, maybe you're hiring someone off of a gig or something, like, you have to be very, very thorough with what you say, how you want things. So it's the same with ChatGPT. So what I can give y'all a tip as for this is just to kind of have templates, where you can just plug in a different website or product page, and you just always paste that in, just because you want to give ChatGPT enough context so that it could be effective in its response. But yeah, moving forward, for me, what is one thing that I've kind of changed my mind recently, or recently enough, is the idea that a client is clingy, or a client is not respecting your time. I think when I first started off, I took a lot of things personal. Why is a client emailing me twice in a day? Why do they not trust me? And I think a lot of that sheds off of you, to an extent, once you've kind of had multiple experiences and seen many different clients. And a lot of clients in the beginning are like that. They're very much wanting more information, or which doesn't necessarily mean that they're clingy or a bad client. They're just genuinely curious, or maybe the
Mhm.
trust and credibility isn't there yet. And that's okay, because us as humans have to understand that we have to protect what's ours. And it's their business, it's their money, they have to protect what's theirs, and they can't just turn over the keys to the kingdom without any type of vetting. And a lot of the times that vetting comes after they pay the invoice, and it's the first month, and you're now collaborating with someone totally brand new in your ecosystem, and you're asking all these things. One thing that I could give y'all advice on is just try to be as prompt as possible when you reply. I understand that we have, families and things that we have to do, but if it's just one email, even if it's 7 p.m., 8 p.m. at night, I'm doing that. I'm like, hey, buddy, I'll get back to you tomorrow. I promise. I see your email. Let me get back to you tomorrow. And even that is a good way to start the credibility, to start that trust and collaboration. So I've kind of changed my mind on what I consider someone as a clingy client or not trusting client. I've kind of been a little bit more patient, and I've understand now kind of like what they go through on their side of things, being in their shoes. So any thoughts on that, Ryan, before we move on to our last point?
Yeah, yeah, you're not really going to get that from me, I'm afraid, folks. I think no, but what I do, I kind of did something a little bit similar with Gmail. I changed it up start of the year because I like in Outlook where you can pin like your emails at the top, like your most important stuff and things like that. And I do that now. I managed to figure a way of doing it inside Gmail. So I just star the messages. So if I've got an important message, if a client messages me, I'll star them. If they've sent it 8 p.m., 9 p.m., I mean, a lot of my clients are on America time. So I'm sleeping a lot of the times when they send me emails. So in the morning, I'll just quickly go through, star a bunch of emails that's come through so that when I start work, I can respond to them and they're at the top waiting for me. So yeah, that's what I do. But I think there has to be a barrier, a bit of respect. Like, if a client messages me at 9 p.m. at night, they must know that I'm not going to respond straight away. But in a 24, at the latest, probably 48-hour period, I will get back to you. It's not that I'm ignoring you or anything like that. I have other clients or I'm working on your account. Certain days I try not to reply to emails or have any phone calls or anything like that. Purely, I just want to focus on doing the work. Otherwise, I'm having meetings, I'm having calls, I'm responding to emails every single day. I'm just an admin assistant rather than a Google Ads specialist. So, yeah, good advice. But for me, I think I want that separation between work and life, as well as I want you to kind of respect that. Yeah, if you send me an email at 9 at night, I'm not going to reply, but I will reply in the morning or the day after at least.
Yeah, that's fair. There's definitely different ways to handle clients, and me and Ryan aren't always going to be on the super exact same page, but I think the essence is the same. Ryan just mentioned he'll get back to you for sure. For me, it's more so like when I do hire somebody, like if I hire somebody to do conversion tracking and I have a question and someone doesn't get back to me, I mean, it doesn't have to be immediate. I understand that feeling, and I'm like, you know what? So with me, as fast as I can, if it's something, I'm just gonna say, hey, I saw your email. Give me 1 second. I'll get back to you. But yeah, I totally understand what Ryan is talking about too.
Cool.
But yeah, moving forward,
Whoa. Don't you want to play the outro music? It's kind of relaxing. I like them.
It is. It's like elevator music. It's perfect. Okay. Last point is clients. All right. So how to scale your digital marketing business. Of course, you're going to need clients. And this bullet point or this section, we'll talk about how clients kind of fit into the mix. Ryan, what do you think generally about this, and how does that help with scaling a digital marketing business?
Yeah, apparently don't keep them waiting. As soon as they send an email, you want to get straight
right away.
Yeah, you want to reply straight away, apparently. No, I think you've got to keep them happy, because you might be focusing on tax season, you might be focusing on 401ks, pensions, you might be focusing on invoices and all the business side of everything, and not actually forgetting to give a lot of love to the clients. They're the ones that are paying the invoices, that are paying you to manage their account. So they come first, to me. Like, all that tax stuff, all the admin stuff is second nature. If it weren't for my clients, I wouldn't have a business. If they didn't trust me with their Google Ads accounts, I wouldn't have a business. So they get my full attention. And it's counterintuitive to what I just said about, hey, if an email comes in, you'll hear from me the next day, whereas Gene's on it like Sonic. But for me, you just need a little bit of a separation, I think. Well, I've just talked about that. But the point is that, yeah, they are number one. But at the same time, I think my clients would appreciate that if they email me late at night, that they'd wait to get an answer in the morning or something. But yeah, make sure they're happy, make sure that everything is good, make sure you're managing the accounts correctly. What I like to do is have a bit of a grading system. So green that's a happy account. Yellow, okay, needs improving, but it's not as bad as it could be. Red, okay, this is not going well. This is where my attention's going to be. And for the most part, I would say 70 to 80% of my clients are all green, maybe a few yellow and a couple of red. But it's not like, okay, 100% of my time is going to be spent on the red clients. No, not at all. Like, I go through all of my clients. So it's just a bit more of an internal grading system for me to really understand who's happy, what accounts are performing well, which are underperforming, things like that. So that's really good. And I've spoken to other account managers. They've got something similar. But the point I'm trying to make is make sure everybody's happy, make sure the clients are getting the attention they need, regular updates and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. And with clients, it's good that Ryan has a grading system, because there are different needs for clients. Like we just discussed. Someone that might not be with you for a long time might be a little antsy. and for me, I understand that that person or that client might need a little bit more immediate attention than someone that's been with me for a year, and understand that I'll get back to them. But I think the key here is figuring out a way to keep the longevity and retention for a client. And I think the only way to really do that is two things. It's credibility, and you get credibility from being transparent with clients, like Ryan said, reporting, making sure that we're, reporting to them and letting them know what's going on in the account. I always tell my clients, I'll give you either a bi-weekly or weekly update, and we could just talk about what I saw, what I'm doing, and what to expect. Those three things, so easy communication is super important, even if it's communication where you have to kind of tell them, hey, I understand that it's not being where you expect it to be, but these are X, Y, and Z things that we can do so that we can get X, Y, and Z different results in the upcoming whatever. And I have been doing this too. And, sometimes I'm not, going to be able to unlock or figure out the puzzle for some of these clients, because either they did something, or it's, maybe too early in the game. And then I could start to see someone get antsy or be like, hey, can we, revisit this, just because we're not getting the return on investment that we want. And at that point, this is for me. I know Ryan might do something different or not do this at all, or but I like to say, hey, if you're saying we're going to give up if we don't get this right, I'll extend, for free. I'll do that. What I'm saying? I'll extend for free 30 days. And if we could get back on track where you'd like it, or see some type of traction better than the last month, then we'll continue to do the regular compensation, regular invoice. I think, for me, it's really important for someone to understand that I am, doing this just because I want to keep the long-term relationship, and that short-term gain for me doesn't really matter. I would rather take, a whole year's worth than just 1 month of me not getting a specific invoice. Ryan, your thoughts on that, or how do you do things when your performance might be tanking or dipping, or any thoughts on what I just mentioned?
I mean, I've got a lot of respect for that. I think for me, it just opens up Pandora's box, because after that month, it's like, well, I'll invoice the client, and they're like, well, why should I pay you? You just work for free for me, so I just want that to continue. And I've had similar sort of standoff, probably just once though, I think, where client, we had an agreement. Just one of my first clients actually had an agreement where I charged a certain amount, and then after a 3-month period, it would go up to the next amount. The client wasn't happy with that. I tried to offer him a deal. I was like, okay, well, that's fine. Look, in the sake of working with you long term, I'll offer you this deal. He didn't take it, and we kind of just parted ways. But for me, I think the point is that it just causes too much chaos. I think if you take a month off and say, hey, I'm going to find them. I mean, I respect it, but I can see like it could cause too many issues. Like, I don't know how to put it into context, but it's like, oh yeah, you're not going to pay your car insurance for a month. Okay, that's great. Like, obviously, the car insurance company, they're going to pay, like, charge you every single month or whatever it might be. So there's no freebies. So it's like, for me, I try and run it like a business like that. Like, if someone says, oh, can I pay on performance or something like that? Oh yeah, I'll just go to the supermarket and eat the food, and then I'll pay if I like it or something, right? It's like that kind of mentality to me. That's just how I do it. That's how I roll. Mic drop. You're different to me, though, I think, in that respect. Like, you want to keep that long term, and I get that, and I respect that, but I don't know. Do you get what I'm saying, or is it just me?
Yeah. No, I totally understand. And I only speak on like how the clients have reacted. I've done it about 4 or 5 times. And I've always, of course, they're going to be appreciative. They're getting a free month. They have to be. If they're not appreciative of that, then that's not a client that you want, in the books. But I think for the right client that's not looking to take advantage of you, if you introduce this and it works out, I think you have a client for life. So
Yeah,
that's the
but
big
hold
thing.
on a second. Pump the
Go ahead.
brakes.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying that this, because I think now I'm starting to see the error in my ways. I've only ever really done this for newish sort of clients,
Mm-hmm.
like 1 to 3
No, don't.
months.
Yeah.
But you're saying like this is probably like 6, 9 month client that you've got. You've worked with them for long term. They've just had a bit of a weird month, and you're saying, you know
Mm-hmm.
what, this one's on me. Give me 30 days. I'll figure it out, and then we'll pick things back up. Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying? You've done this
exactly.
4 to 5
Yeah.
times.
And I've even done it where not a full 30 days. If it's really bad, I will, but I've done it for 14 days. Or even if I'm setting something up that's new, like conversion tracking, I'm okay with the first month. If you see my invoice is always going to be for 37 days and I go back to 30 days every single time because I'm setting up your account. I'm not working on it, you know? So, yeah, that's something that I would not do for a brand new client just because I don't feel like brand new client is going to appreciate that. But I think
Yeah,
more so someone that's kind of been expressing their frustrations, perhaps. And that is my rebuttal to say, I hear you. This is what we're going to do to mitigate those frustrations that you have. I'm not going to give this to somebody that's not talking to me about it. If you're not telling me that you have any fears or kind of putting me on the radar, hey, putting me on notice, I'm not really, everything is good, business as usual. But this is, in my opinion, something that you could feel if you have an experience where a client's talking a little bit more to you, kind of like asking you more questions and like, hey, I straight up ask them, how do you feel moving forward with what we're doing? And if they say, well, Gene, this is something that you've been doing a good job, but it's just not working in our finances. I don't know if we could continue on with this return on ad spend or this CPA, cost per conversion. It's not profitable for us. Well, I'm like, okay, well, here's my game plan. Let's do this for just this 30 days. And if we could turn the ship around, let's continue the invoice. But if we can't, then this might be the end of our, like you said, the end of our relationship.
wow,
Yeah.
solid advice. I like that. Cool.
Yeah.
Was
It's
there any
something,
more point?
yeah, I think that's, maybe, yeah. The last point that I have is, kind of the opposite. We're talking about free months, but for you to really scale, you're going to have to introduce other services or introduce other things into the ecosystem. For me, I'm trying new things. Back then I've done where I had a client actually ask for social media, so I did their social media for a little bit, for a couple months. I'm not the best social media guy, but I think to really get the most out of your clients in a good positive way, they need to have the full digital marketing stack, because SEO, social media, blogs, email marketing, all of that talks to PPC in Google Ads. So I think the more that you have that balanced approach and are able to say, hey, if I can't, fulfill this service for you, I have someone that can, or I have someone on my team that can, I think that can really help you scale digital marketing. Any final thoughts on that, Ryan, as we close out?
No, that sounds good. That makes sense. I agree.
Awesome. Well, yeah. So this was definitely a different, digital marketing episode, but PPC is still part of digital marketing, so still relevant. If you have any questions, please email us at the ppccave@gmail.com. Every month or every week, we release a new episode, 12 a.m. Mountain Time on YouTube video, Spotify video, regular Spotify. And yeah, if you have any comments, we saw a comment the other day, right, Ryan? And Ryan replied to it. We love to see comments and engagement. Thumbs up, like the video. Ryan, where can they find you for PPC services and management?
Yeah, you can find me at ryanfentonppc.co.uk. How about you?
At genevillanoz.com. And if there's nothing else, bye for now.